Hi everyone, welcome to the how to get started tutorial on the software called Graphx-y-z. I started developing this software during my initial years of my PhD studies. I'm a physicist in North Carolina State University and I started to develop this as a hobby. And today I would like to publish a video explaining on how to get started with this software. Now I would like to use my source code in order to do this, because if any exception happens, I don't want to be kicked out from my application, and there are errors needs to be handled. So here's the initial window that's going to appear when you first run the application. So in this software application, the goal of this software application is to combine multiple instruments in a single environment, so we can plot various types of data from various types of instruments taken in the lab, and combine them all together to be plotted under the same application, and easily and in a faster way. In order to do this, I introduced the options called presets. These presets are the instrument presets, and when you run, there are only XY column and XY row. These are just standing for the simple 2 column and 2 row data, X column, Y column data. Of course, this can be added by custom, and first thing needs to be done here is go to this presets option, because presets needs to be set for the instrument of the data we want to analyze. So we're going to click presets, and this will bring a new window that lets us give to the application certain parameters of our data as a new preset. Now, in order to do that, we have this small menu in the middle called Select Data to Sample window. In that window, we select the data that we want to analyze, the data that the instrument gives out. In my case, it's I have a data ready, so I will have this data and this THZ instrument data, this instrument in our lab. So I choose that, and I choose this data. Now I view that data. This is just a sample. I just want to see how my data structure is. Now when I view, I see that there are 4 lines, which 2 I want to use to plot. This is XY plot, this is going to be XY plot. So I know that from my instrument that this first line is a delay, is a time, second line is intensity. So I go to the side, and then I decide that my X data is a row, so I choose this row here. Then my row starts from first column and first row. Then my Y data is also row, but it starts from first column and second row. And after doing that, I give these options, and my type of data is CSV, and the limiter is period instead of space, because obviously we were able to view the data. Now this is gonna needs to be saved as new preset, so I give name, same instrument name, preset THZ, and I add it to the list, and this is added. Now I choose that preset and I close. Now I'm ready, and every time I want to analyze this instrument's data, I choose terahertz. Then I go to the data, find a folder, and then find that folder that my data is in, then open that folder. Now if I press load, this is gonna load me that data, because it already knows the presets where the column and row is, and it already knows from this presets option if it's whether XY or XYZ data. I chose this XY mode. This also needs to be chosen, I forgot to tell. But yeah, once this is done, once the preset is added to the system, and this can be saved as a simple TXT file, can be edited later. For example, I have these 3 instruments now, right? I can save this to some TXT file. Let's save it to the documents, Graphx-y-z, and instrument presets. Let's save it as new preset. Save. Now I saved it as new preset TXT file. Okay. I should probably give it TXT format. So instrument presets, no, it automatically gives it. Good. New preset txt is already saved. Okay, cancel. Now whenever I want to reload this preset again, I can either default now this preset is defaulted. Now every time when I run my app, that preset will be defaulted. Now this data is here. Now let's try to plot it. So if I show my left figure, this is the left figure and there's the right figure too. I have two figures that I can plot. When I press submit, it plots it here, right on the left side, because I showed the left figure. Now I can plot to the right side, so that if I want to plot something else on the left side, there is an options that can be used. It's called the refine settings. In the refine settings, I have plot right option. Now it plots on the right. Now let's go back to the left. There are other things we can do. We can add legends to the figure, data legend, the name of the data. Then we can basically adjust the fonts of the axis. We can choose what kind of point, is it line or is it dots? We can choose that. Various stuff that I'm gonna go through later, but this is just to get started with this software, and it is quite powerful. Now we have, just to give an overview, we have tools here. These tools, I will talk about it later, and we have fit tool that can serve us to fit the software. But before doing that, let's just go to view. There is plot controls. This is matplotlib's plot controls from Python library, and you can zoom into that area where the data is relevant to this area and back, and it will zoom in there. Now you can choose only the data points, to show only the data points. This is the data points, and this is the what combines those data points. When I press, only the data point is shown. Now if I go to the fit tool and choose the left menu, submit, now it lets me to fit the data. So it's a pretty powerful software. I just want to give an overall overview of what it can do. So in the fit menu, I can fit to a certain data, to a certain function. This function is written in Python language. Anyway, we'll talk about this later. I just wanted you to get started with this software as fast as possible. So this video serves as an overall introductory video. Let's hide all and only show the right figure and left figure. Right figure is fine. Let me see what I'm plotting. I'm plotting to the left, so I need to show the left figure. Let's hide the right figure. Hide the refine settings. Now what you can do is, with this data, is I can view data list. This is the list of the data. I'm going to explain why. Now I'm going to go to plot mode multiple. This multiple plot mode allows me to plot and compare multiple data points. Because I don't have multiple data here, I'll just plot the same two data back to back, and when I press submit, it will plot back to back two data points, because you know that because the color is changed. I can demonstrate that in my next example. Now let's add a new data as a next example. If I want to add a new instrument, basically. Now let's go to the new tab to analyze a new instrument. If we have other instrument, other data types we want to analyze, new tab. This is gonna give us a new tab right next to this. Now the instrument I want to analyze is not listed here. Now I need to add it again. Every time I analyze a new instrument, I need to do this procedure just once. Then after I launch the application again, this will be ready here, and I'm good to analyze and plot the data. Now the data I want to analyze is, I need to again select data to sample. The data is my data, all the data is here. I'm gonna choose empty data and just one data. All of this is in the same format, and it's CSV format. Then I will just say view data. Now as you can see, this is my instrument's data. It's different than the previous data. but I can still analyze it with this application. How? Now I know that this is a column data. I'm interested with these two columns because I know my instrument, how this instrument gives out the data. The app doesn't, so I need to tell the app that this instrument has a specific data format. Now that format is, this instrument gives out to me X data in second column and Y data in the third column. And X data and Y data are flipped because, as you can see, X data is decreasing in value. So I need to tell my app that it's flipped and it's both of them is column and row. Both of them starts with first row and first column, and columns first row, and both of them starts with first row, and my X data starts with second column and Y data starts at third column, and the titles are correct, wavelength and intensity, because I know this. Then after that, after double checking everything, I just add this my instrument's name empty and add. Now it's here. Now I default it, so every time I run my app it's here, and I can also save it if I want to load it later. Now if I want to save it, I can go to the instruments and new preset 2. I can load it later if I want to. After I'm done with this, I close this window. I close this window too. Now I just show the left figure again. Plot modes is selected. Now I want to find and load those data associated with those instruments. Now let's do that. Empty data. All of this data I want to load. Select, load. Now the data are loaded. Submit, and it's gonna plot those data for you. Now let's go to the new tab to analyze a new instrument. If you have other instrument, other data types we want to analyze, new tab. This is gonna give us a new tab right next to this. Now the instrument I want to analyze is not listed here. Now I need to add it again. Every time I analyze a new instrument, I need to do this procedure just once. Then after I launch the application again, this will be ready here, and I'm good to analyze and plot the data. Now the data I want to analyze is, I need to again select data to sample. The data is my data, all the data is here. I'm gonna choose empty data and just one data. All of this is in the same format, and it's CSV format. Then I will just say view data. Now as you can see, this is my instrument's data. It's different than the previous data, but I can still analyze it with this application. How? Now I know that this is a column data. I'm interested with these two columns because I know my instrument, how this instrument gives out the data. The app doesn't, so I need to tell the app that this instrument has a specific data format. Now that format is, this instrument gives out to me X data in second column and Y data in the third column, and X data and Y data are flipped because, as you can see, X data is decreasing in value. So I need to tell my app that it's flipped and it's both of them is column and row. Both of them starts with first row and first column, and columns first row, and both of them starts with first row, and my X data starts with second column and Y data starts at third column, and the titles are correct, wavelength and intensity, because I know this. Then after that, after double checking everything, I just add this my instrument's name empty and add. Now it's here. Now I default it, so every time I run my app it's here, and I can also save it if I want to load it later. Now if I want to save it, I can go to the instruments and new preset 2. I can load it later if I want to. After I'm done with this, I close this window. I close this window too. Now I just show the left figure again. Plot modes is selected. Now I want to find and load those data associated with those instruments. Now let's do that. Empty data. All of this data I want to load. Select, load. Now the data are loaded. Submit, and it's gonna plot those data for you. Now this data is plotted. Now what I can do is I can plot this data multiple times. Like I want to show it here because I have now multiple data that I can use. Now what I do is I view data list, and I add data 1, then data 2, and I go to plot mode. It's multiple plot, it's gonna plot multiple data on top of each other. I can plot legends to see which one is which. This is data 1, data 2. And I can do RGB to change the color to red, green, blue scheme. Quick changing the colors. I can also do custom colors with these plot controls here. Yeah, so there are various of decorations we can do to the figure that I will talk about later. Since this is just the overview, I'll just avoid all of them, just show whatever is needed. Now I'm gonna go to this tab, and there's our figure waiting for us, and I'm gonna go to the refine settings, plot controls, not the refine settings. And what's interesting is I can copy this figure to my clipboard, so by clicking this C button. And if I do that, what I can do is I can go to an empty PowerPoint slide and paste it as a figure. Now, as you can see, this figure size is a long size. So what I can do is I can come back and resize this window as I wish, like this, to get properly sized scientific figure. Let me quickly refine it. I can increase the font. I can check mark this refine checkbox, and it will automatically take those intensity and wavelength values, and I can add legends, data 1, data 2. I can decorate it like before. I can choose dot instead of that, and I can connect this with lines. There are multiple ways of decorating it. I can do RGB. After I'm decorated this, I just copy it and paste it here for the reporting. Now I'd rather use raw file to plot this, right? After manipulating this, after cropping this and everything, I would rather use a well-known commercial software to prepare this for publication quality images. It can be done here if this is good enough, but if this is not good enough, what we can do is we can go to the documents folder. We can go to Graphx-y-z, and there will be saved the data will be saved. Now this data fit is a data that fit window gives us, so it's the data file and fit equation I will talk about later. But what's relevant here is the data left. So this data left is the data that's being pushed out from the software to this folder, and this is in well organized. See, it's very well organized. This is data 1, this is data 2, and they all can be plotted together. Now after we've done that, we want to save our data, this entire procedure. If we want to save this entire procedure, there's two ways. We can either save this tab only by clicking this tab and save default. What this will do is, let me check if it gives an error. No errors, so it succeeded. What if it does is it does save it to the default file, that's a binary, and then when you run it up again and when you load default, it will load this specific tab window, not this one. It just loads this one. Now you can save as to this tab, save as, and go to the documents. This is just to keep things organized. Go to the save tabs. The format type is npy. It will add npy by itself, but let's say test tab. I saved this test tab and it's gonna be saved in that location. Now let me add a new tab here, and let me try to load that default that I just saved earlier. See, it loaded all of them. Now show left figure and submit. It immediately plots and I'm back to the place where I was. And if I show this data list is also loaded back. Okay, now let's close this tab and add a new tab. Now let me load that tab from the file. Load this test tab. Again, same thing happens. Now data list, plot, view left figure. Again, it's plotted from that file. So that's one way of backing up things, back up the tab. There's another way. If I want to save entire project, there's this the menu bar at the very top. So each tab bar has its menu bar, and entire application has its menu bar. Here I show that the about application window and check for update, I will add functionality later for that, but this window works. So again, there's a default method, save default. This saves it to the default file. It's just a rapid way of saving and loading things. If I close this entire window, and if I run my app again, and so let me actually close this console. In this console, I need to close this console to close the application perfectly. Now I run my app again, and then load open default, like I just said, right? It's gonna load all the tabs and all the methods in its original condition. Left figure, for example, this is in original condition. Left figure, this is in its original condition. Left figure. See, it loaded all of them. Of course it can be refined, and I will keep working on this, but I just to show that the power of this software is, I mean, if I had this in the start of my PhD, it would have really helped me. So I'm just trying to help the community out with the development of this software. If anyone has skills and can contribute to the GitHub page, that will be really helpful. Now I'm gonna continue with the new tab, and I'm gonna show how to work with 2D plots. Now again, we will go to the presets. Now I have an example 2D data. It's called transient absorption spectroscopy, if you're familiar with. I need to analyze and plot this data. Now let's select data to sample again. Now I'm gonna go to data again, this task. I'm gonna just choose this backup, choose just one, and view for sampling. Now this is a complicated data, right? It has X, Y, and it has also Z. Now I know that because I know my instrument, that this first row, starting from second column, is my time. So what I do is I start my X, I call my X as time, then I start my X from second column, first row, and it's a row. Second column, it's a row, and first row. And my Y, I call this Y, it's a wavelength. So I call this delay time basically, and my Y is wavelength, and unit is nanometer, and that is a column, and it's a first column. It starts from second row, and it's a first column, and it's XYZ data, not XY, and it starts from second column and second row, and all the way whatever is left underneath. And the unit is the plot label is intensity, and it's not flipped, it's in well ordered, and it's CSV. Now I can add this as a new preset called test, and I add it, and every time I load, I want this to be loaded, so default it, choose task, close this. Now go to that, go to those data, open this folder, load it. See, it automatically realizes it's XYZ data. I might need to add the same thing when I'm loading to the XY data. I need at least to pop up one figure panel, right? It wasn't doing there. I was manually viewing plot left figure, but this one I loaded, it automatically views all three figures. Now I can submit it. See, plots. This is Y, this is X, this is X, this is Z, this is Y, this is Z. And it gets its name correctly, right? A Graphx-y-z. Anyway, so here what we can do is we can do multiple stuff. We can view data list, we can view Y slices, we can view X slices. Now Y slice and X slice is a slice at each data points, at each X and at each Y. Now if I want to plot this plot, there are several plot modes for this XYZ mode. Selected is just plots the selected one. Now multiple at single X and Y plots multiple data task 1, task 2, task 3 at single delay and single wavelength, this, right? And when I submit, see, it's, let's put a legend, refine settings, legend 1 2 3. By the way, the important thing about the legend, I might need to have a, I might put a control for the user for that, is whenever I press legend, it takes all the common title and puts it to the title and puts the rest as a legend, not the entire file name. But I can change that as an option, put entire file name there. Anyway, it's data 1 2 3 plotted on top of each other. See, it's a data 1 2 3 plotted on top of each other, and they compare to each other. Now there's another mode called single at multiple x and y. With this mode, you can choose a single file. You can add a single file instead of multiple, and you can, let's go to the single selected mode. When in select mode, just plots the selected one. And when you add like a, let's remove all this. When you choose a single file, and you can choose multiple x slice and y slice. Let's choose y slice here. We can also do like this. You can press with your mouse and it will go there. Y slice and x slice over there. Y slice and x slice over here. Y slice and x slice over here. And change the plot mode to single data at multiple x and y. And as you can see, it will plot it on top of each other at multiple x and y. And this is very crucial at analyzing this kind of data. Now what you can do is you can match each of this data with its own x and y, with the last method, matched with x and y. And what this does is it matches each of this data with each of these x and y's respectively. And this is also important during analysis and plot of this kind of data. Yeah, this is all for the introductory video related to this software. I will do more videos explaining on how to use this, so stay tuned. Thanks a lot for getting interested, for your interest on this software. And apologize my English, I'm still learning after 4 or 5 years of PhD life here, but I hope that this software helps to the community and will help to improving the knowledge and science and the spread of the science, especially for the graduate students who will save lots of times. Hopefully, I hope this helps. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye. Cheers.